you do realize that we have a president who's trying to cosplay as a Roman emperor. Angela Parker, Boozy Bible Scholar, Scripture Through Womanist Eyes, using my Pat McGrath Mothership 1. Starting with the Wayne Goss and going into Ultimate Taupe right here. There it is. Gonna just carve out. Now, cosplaying is fantasy, where you dress up as a character in a movie or a book. So I just finished my book, Faith Unlynched. I've submitted the manuscript to my publisher, and I argue that, well, I'll just tell you a little snippet of one piece of the chapter. In one piece of the chapter, I talk about the Trump administration cosplaying as the Roman Empire. And when I talk about cosplaying is dressing up as a character and kind of like playing make believe. But the problem is, we're all suffering the consequences. So as we look at the Trump administration, they are cosplaying as the Roman Empire. How are they doing that? By consolidating wealth and shoveling it up to the upper 1%. So in the one big, beautiful bill that is extracting money from the lower portion of the United States of America, from the lower, most impoverished people, they're extracting funds and taking it up to the 1%. And that is a play of the Roman Empire. Another example, now I'm going into depth and going a little bit lower and adding depth into the lower half. Another example is the parade that he orchestrated on June 13th, I believe. That parade could be a reminder of the parousia. Now, if you read in First Thessalonians, the parousia is the idea of the coming again of Jesus. But the parousia occurs when an emperor comes into town with a big parade. And Caesar Augustus did that whenever he came into a town. They held a big parade in his honor when he came into town. And so we have to remember, Jesus is crucified under empire, and the Apostle Paul is also crucified under empire. So the messages of Jesus and Paul are not conducive to imperial living. They are against imperial living. So if you want to be a Jesus follower or a actual follower who understands the letters of Paul, you're not going to be in bed with empire. I'm going into extreme black and using it on the outer corner. The other way that the United States is cosplaying as the Roman Empire is the way that the Trump administration has just ordered the military, the United States Guard, into Washington, D.C. today. Anytime you have a show of militaristic force in your own homeland, that is a move of the Roman Empire. So when Augustus died and there was a vacuum of power after his death, four emperors were trying to rise up and were fighting against each other, trying to figure out who's going to be the next emperor. Well, yeah, no, that's true, four. And the ways that they began to fight showed up in how the empire is decided and fighting in the streets of Rome. So when tanks show up in your homeland, that's a bad sign for the people who are in their homelands, because you know that the powers that be are trying to figure out how to gain power over each other. So I just went into the extreme blue, and then I went into astral white for my inner corner. Sorry, got caught up in the putting on of the color. So here is the final look, friends. Yeah, I'm making sure my mic is on. So here's the final look. Liner, lashes, Full Beat on My Face Foundation lipstick. Angela Parker, Boozy Bible Scholar. If the Trump administration continues to cosplay as the Roman Empire, then those who are on the underside of society will continue to be oppressed and oppressed even more. Those of us who are trying to be Jesus followers, then our job is to alleviate the pain that those who are on the underside of society are experiencing. So, those who are unhoused in the Washington, D.C. area, as the National Guard is moving in and taking over, our job is to actually help alleviate their pain. Angela Parker, Boozy Bible Scholar, as always, friends, be bold, be brave, be brilliant as I continue to bring you scripture through womanist eyes as I am no longer on sabbatical. See you next time.